Hi there, welcome back to another episode of A Brit Does Baseball Does podcast. I'm Gaz. I'm joined by everyone's favourite fashion designer in the world, Alan. Alan, how are you doing?
What is the crack, my man? I'm doing good. I'm feeling a bit tired. Had a good weekend. Was out for a friend's birthday, went down to Brighton, had some fun. But now I'm ready to get back and talk some baseball. How about you?
I'm fantastic. It was Super Saturday for the rugby. I watched all three games. I can say I had 3 pints, fell asleep during the second game, woke up to just watch England fall by 2 points in the final game to the French,
I
which was a bit
know it was very disappointing. I watched the Irish game and it was incredible. They pulled it was a close game and then pulled away at the end.
disappointing.
But I think that was the first time because if England won, then we would have won the Six Nations. So it was
Yeah.
the first time I think that the entirety of Ireland was rooting for England to win.
Hey, it makes a nice change.
It does.
Anyway, we're recording this. We're about a week away from opening day now. I believe we're recording this on the 16th. I think opening day is the 25th of March. I may be wrong, but we've got 2 more episodes coming at you before opening day. So we've got this one, and we've got one more which Cal is going to take the lead on, and that's going to be our opening day predictions essentially. So that'll be quite a fun episode. So stay tuned for that, which will be coming soon. But
Yes, I
today
can confirm it is the 25th of March.
is the 25th
We
of
are
March.
very
Thank you, Alan, for
close.
fact checking that. Whilst otherwise I might be chatting shit. Before then, because we've got a whole season of baseball ahead of us, I wanted to put my feet up this week. So did Alan. So we thought, what can we talk about that will require minimal effort from us, other than we just get to review something? And lo and behold, ESPN came out with an article ranking their top 100 players for 2026. So those of you that don't know what the article is, look on ESPN on Google, top 100 MLB players, and they give you player by player from 1 to 100 kind of why they're ranked where they are, and then there's a little hot take at the bottom of it that one of the 3 or 4 ESPN writers did. And we thought, a lot of other podcasts kind of make their own lists, and we've done a bit of that in the past. Why not just take someone else's list and review the shit out of it? How does that sound, Alan?
That sounds great. Absolutely. We'll have some hot takes, a little bit of breaking down what we think, and yeah, it's getting me excited for the season, man.
Yeah. So we've got a couple
And
of
I'm
segments.
sure as well we'll put the link to the
Yeah.
article in one of our stories, or we'll have it out there as well.
Yeah, of course, we'll give ESPN their credit because they're a young and up and coming sports journalistic, and it's important to maintain that integrity. Please don't
Absolutely.
sue us for doing your list. So we've got a couple of nice, fun segments today. We haven't got a start bench cut. We haven't got a Mount Rushmore, but we have got a new one called Alan's Catching Corner, which we'll get onto in a little bit later. For those of you that don't know, Alan is a catcher. I don't understand how he has any knees left, but he's a stronger man than I. But
I'm an absolute masochist. I love to do it, man. Bring it on.
you heard it here first. We're going to start with Boo's hot takes. So even Boo's got in on the action, and all she said for this episode was, "Gary or Dad, whatever she wants to call me, just pick 3 random numbers from 1 to 100, which represents the players on the list." So I've got a random number generator on my other screen. I'm going to click it 3 times, and we're going to use the hot takes that the journalists used for each player's ranking, and we're just going to rank that using the Nando's Spice Scale. For those of you that don't know what the Nando's Spice Scale is, go to Nando's. We have very hot, we have medium, we have lemon and herb, we have mild, and if you think it's outrageous, we have Perry Tamer.
This sounds absolutely great, and we're going in absolutely blind and everything. This is literally going to be generating the numbers now, and we'll go in.
Yeah. So, are you ready for the first number?
Bring it on.
So the first number is 22. I will say there are a couple of players that we are going to talk about in more detail. If that number does come up, we're going to spin again because we're going to be
we have one of your boys. We have Pete Crow Armstrong going Chicago Cubs. I swear this is a random number. It's not just you picking your own team.
Yeah, I promise it is a random number. He's ranked 22 out of the 100 players for 2026. The season prediction, or the hot take as we call it, I'll give it word for word. So the baseball world is wondering who the real PCA is. The easy answer is somewhere in between who he was in the first half of last season and the second half. Vowing to get on more this season, he will steal 50 bases and hit 20 home runs. Alan, where have you got that in your hot take?
Well, let's look up. I want to get some of the stats up here now. He is having a great time in the WBC, if I can remember. He's been making some great plays and getting some good hits. Or am I talking
No,
out
he
my
hit
arse there? Can you
a couple
remember?
of home runs in the Italy loss the other day, and he's kind of usurped Byron Buxton as that third outfielder because you got Judge and right. They like to play Roman Anthony in left, and it was out of him and Byron Buxton. So PCA is currently the starting centre fielder for Team USA.
Yeah, he's doing well. So the hot take is somewhere between the first half last and the second half. So I'm about to get more steals. Still 50 bases and hit 50 or 20 home runs.
Yeah.
He seems like in a bit of a streak. I think that's a pretty tame. I'm going garlic and herb on that. Like what did he got? Home runs last year. He was on 31. Season before that was 10. So yeah, they're splitting the middle there. And stolen bases. I mean, it's the thing that adds a bit of spice to it is that he was only at 35 stolen bases last year. And that's coming from 27. So I think that could be a bit of a stretch. But no, it seems pretty on point. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go lemon and herb as well. Obviously, I watch PCA a lot more than you do on a day-to-day basis, and he probably attempted 50 steals and got caught stealing quite a few times.
Okay.
So if he's
he actually only got caught stealing 8 times.
Oh, that's way less than I thought, but I think some of them were at key moments, so they felt like it counted as 3.
Okay, yeah.
I think the 20 home runs is quite easy for him. I think he was too good in the first half, but very bad in the second half. I think that does equate to about 20. But yeah, lemon and herb, I think he could steal 50 bases, especially if he's not slugging as much. If that man gets on base, then he'll just go second, third before you even know it. He's one of the fastest players in all of baseball. So I've got this as lemon and herb as well.
Sounds good. Nice quick one there.
Right, I will do the second random number. The number is 93, so we're scrolling all the way down to the bottom of the article. No idea who number 93 is. Oh, this will be a fun one.
Aroldis Chapman, the old Yankee, gone over to the Red Sox. Let's see so their season prediction. They have Chapman's age and expected correction to hit to his hit and homer rates assures something closer to a 2.68 ERA and a 1.01 WHIP in 2026. They will remain effective enough to save another 31 games with 81 strikeouts. What do you think on that one?
So he had, I'll give you some stats from last year because we just pulled it up. So he had a 1.17 ERA last year. He was absolutely electric for the Red Sox, and he had 32 saves. Where have they got him? 2.68. I think I'm going to put this as hot. I think he showed a lot more in the tank last year than he did in previous years. I think he might be getting better in age. Obviously, come to a point where he will start to regress. But I think that's very high on the ERA. So I'm going to go hot. I reckon I'm more around the 1.82 range on the ERA personally. So I'll go hot for that one. I think the saves 31. It's tough with saves because you don't know if he's going to be in that position. But yeah, I'll go hot on that one. What about yourself?
I think I don't know. It's hard to go because next year he will be 38. So he is getting a bit long in the tooth, but I mean he's still hitting the high because he was hitting 104, 103, or 104 last year.
Yeah, it seemed like whenever Mason Miller would throw hard, Chapman would come out and just throw harder for the sake of it.
Yeah, just to prove I'm still here. I'm taking on these young bucks. I think it is a bit of a I think it's a bit of a spicy take as well, but not too hot, just regular hot because his career ERA is 2.52. So I think they're sticking around that. And the last few seasons, I mean, he jumped up a lot. He was like in 23 and 24, he was sitting around of 3.25 and then 3.79 ERA, and then it's gone down to 1.17. So he's like absolutely killing it. I think spicy. I think I'm loving what he is. I personally miss this guy. I loved seeing him out in the mound when he was the Yankee. For all those out there, I am a Yankees fan. Yes, come on, bring on the fucking hate. I love it. But he just had that power, and he had that kind of amazing closer energy that just seemed unhittable, and he could hit it when it needed to be hit. So yeah, I'm going hot. I think he can do as well as this year, in between this year and what they're saying. So I'm thinking probably like a more of a 2 ERA.
Yeah, I quite like that. I quite like that as a one, as a player we've reviewed. So we've done one position player, we've done one pitcher. I've already run the random number, and our final random number is number 70. And I can tell you now, just because Alan's going to scroll to it, we're going to Los Angeles Dodgers land, and we're going to Blake Snell.
Yes.
Who, 2 Cy Youngs, kind of goes under the radar a fair bit. I find it's like you wouldn't think that Blake Snell has won 2 Cy Youngs in his career, but he has. The season prediction is the Dodgers are notoriously slow in bringing back starting pitchers off the injured list. There's a reason for that. Since it's so difficult to predict injury, their only true recourse is being extra judicious on the front end. God, this is terrible for someone with a list like myself. That will play out with Snell. He'll sit out the first month or so, make roughly 20 starts, finish with an ERA under 3, and strike out more than 10 batters per 9 innings for the 9th straight year. Where have you got that on your SPY scale?
Let me think. I'm reading over it here again. So what's his? So his looking up his ERA at the moment. Career average 3.15. He had 2.35 last year, and in 2024 was sitting right on the average at 3.12. If coming off the injury is always going to be a bit of a bit tentative. 20 starts and an ERA under 3. I think he will. Like you say, he goes under the radar, but I think being surrounded by all those incredible pitchers out there, having Shohei doing a full season, Yamamoto, and what's his face?
Tyler
Long
Glasnow.
hair. Tyler Glasnow as well. Yeah, like that's just, I think having that kind of level of pitcher around you is just kind of push you to do better. So I would put this probably at it's kind of giving a wide berth though. It's like finishing with an ERA under 3 can mean fucking an ERA of 1.5 or an ERA of fucking 2.8. So they're kind of cheating us a bit there. But let's say they're aiming towards the 3. I think he can do better. So I'll put it as like a bit of a hot spicy take. He is, like you say, goes under the radar. I think he can get closer to like 2.5.
I'm going to burn down the houses with this one. I'm going to go Perry Tamer. I think
okay.
This one is outrageous. Not because we haven't had too much spice in the first 2 hot takes. I think we've had a little bit, but I'm going Perry Tamer. The reason for that is he's coming off an injury. So he never really goes too long in starts. I don't have the stats in front of me, but if you look at the number of games he's started and you compare that to the number of quality starts or the amount of times he's gone 6 innings, I don't know. Maybe we're talking 50%. I might be completely wrong, and people may listen to this and go, he doesn't know ball, which is true. I don't. But I don't think Blake Snell is as good as people make him out to be. Yes, he's got strikeout stuff, but he's not very economical with his pitch count. I would like to see him try and go 7-8 innings because that gives you more value for a team. If you've got Blake Snell going 5 innings and the Dodgers bullpen, especially last year, having to cover 4 innings themselves, that's why I know they still won a World Series, but that may be what cost them. So I think he'll get 20 starts. ERA, there or thereabouts. I can maybe see it 3.5. I just don't think he's going to be as dominant as he has been in the past because he seems to be, there's an injury here or there's an injury there, and it's just starting to roll up a little bit. I do think the Dodgers are going to be really careful with all their starting pitchers, especially with Ohtani back on the mound. But I'm going to go Perry Tamer. I don't think he's going to be nowhere near as good as this.
So you think he's what do you think his ERA will be?
I think we're looking at an ERA high 3s. I don't think he'll strike out more than 10 batters per 9 innings, and I think he'll make 20 starts. But I'm going to put another take on this. Of those 20 starts, I say he goes through 6 innings 10 times. I don't see him reaching the end of 6 innings in half of those starts.
Yeah, because he had 20 20 starts in 2024, 11 starts in 2025, and his win-loss was 5-4. So he made last season. He did make all to qualify for a win-loss, but back in 2024, I think is what you're thinking of. He had 20 starts and his win-loss was only 5-3, so just didn't make it through those innings.
And it's like, you've made all those starts, you need to show that more on the mound.
Yeah,
he's a 2-time Cy Young winner. Not taking that away from him, but let's go Perry hot, and we can end Boo's favorite segment with that, because she hasn't had one of those in a while.
Perfect. Sounds good.
So, the main, we're just going to riff for the next half now. We're just going to sort of review the ESPN top 100 list, and obviously it's very subjective as to who's on the list, where they are, which teams are represented, etc. And obviously the beat writers that wrote this are a lot more skilled than myself and Alan. That makes it even more funnier when we take them apart. Alan, are you ready to get into it?
Yes, I'm ready to show everybody how little I know about baseball. Bring it on.
Sounds like having Cal on the podcast. So, there are 30 teams in Major League Baseball, as you may or may not know. If you didn't know, now you do. And luckily, what I like about this article is it's not like an all-star article where they don't have... There are 4 teams that don't have any representatives on the list at all. Those being the Chicago White Sox, and then the Colorado Rockies, Miami Marlins, and St. Louis Cardinals. That I quite enjoy, because I don't think you could feasibly have someone from the Rockies who finished last year with 44 wins on this top 100 list, because it kind of detracts the overall value of the list. Saying that, I did go through and quickly, I have a shout out for a couple of players that could have made the list if it was like in an all-star situation. So starting with the Chicago White Sox, I've got a pitcher called Shane Smith, who was a rookie last year. I think he ended with like a 3.5 ERA. Opening day starter this year for them, an incredible pitcher in his rookie season. And then I've also got the young upstart Colson Montgomery. I think he's got a chance here to maybe get 30 home runs after a little cup of coffee last year. That's on the American League side. And then on the National League side, I've got Hunter Goodman for the Colorado Rockies, one of Alan's fabled catchers who had a great rookie season last year. 30 home runs, good defense. Believe he made it to the All-Star team, and I think he maybe should have started that All-Star game at the point. It was between him and Will Smith, and naturally everyone voted Will Smith because, hi, I'm a Dodger.
And Hunter he was sitting at 278, batting average, very, very strong.
Yeah, it's probably the only good hitter on the Rockies team, because you can get 10 home runs just by turning up to Coors Field. The final 2 teams, the Miami Marlins, I've only got one. It's the outfielder Carl Stowers. I think he ended the season with about 30 home runs, came over in a trade from the Orioles in 2024. Again, he was an all-star. He showed a lot of pop, and that's one of the reasons why the Marlins had such a good year last year. I don't actually have any Cardinal players that I would recommend putting on the top 100. They had a bit of a shit show last year, and I think Cardinal fans will admit that. There's definitely no one on the pitching side. Maybe Ivan Herrera, who's like a DH catcher, but he was injured for large parts of last year. So those are the 4 teams that are not represented. If you think someone missed out on those 4 teams that we've not covered, let us know in the comments, because we don't know much about those 4 teams. I know a little bit more about the Cardinals, but that these are 4 teams that are not projected to do very well next year. So it's understandable why they don't have anyone on the top 100.
Yeah, and we're not surprised, especially from the season, like from the White Sox, what happened last season. It's they need to pull something else out of their arse to even be considered for something like this. So I'm not, to be honest, I'm not surprised by any of these.
No, there's like, you could argue maybe someone like the Washington Nationals are going to have a really bad year this year, but they've got James Wood, so that he was always going to make it on the list. But anyway, we've spoken enough about teams that aren't on the list. Should we talk about the players that are on the list?
Sounds good.
So we're not going to give you all 100 players. We'll probably do that in a graphic at some point, but we are going to review the top 10. So I'm just going to give you the top 10 players, starting from 10, working our way back down to number 1. And then any comments or reviews we've got from it, let's just go through them. So in at number 10 is Ronald Acuna Jr. from the Atlanta Braves, who I think is a bit lucky to be so high, considering he spent most of last year injured and the year before that. And I think when he's good, he is probably a top 7-8 player in all of baseball. But can you give that to someone that's played like 30% of the games over the last 2 years?
Yeah, I don't think so. I was surprised as well to see him up here. It's kind of feels almost like the pitcher getting that games played. Like if they don't do the 5 innings, it doesn't get counted. So I don't know why he's in here, but I think again, I think what they're going for is this is the potential for 2020, 2026, and I think they're going off the like the 41 homers, 73 stolen bases that he had in 2023, and that he's just coming from that MVP level year that he's going to do it again. But I don't know. Again, coming off that injury, what do you think? Do you think he's gonna pull together? Do you think he's
Depends how much because he's basically torn ACLs and knee issues. He tore his left ACL in 2024, and he's kind of had issues since then, and was actually shut down to end last year. I think it's a bit high. He's definitely on when he's fully fit. He definitely is a top 10 player. I'm not debating that. I just think there's so much injury risks there. Does that need to be taken into consideration? And you could say that about quite a lot of the list if you look through. And I just think Ronald Acuna at number 10 kind of highlights that.
Absolutely, I agree.
So in at 9, we've got Julio Rodriguez for the Seattle Mariners, which I quite like this as a top 10. I think he's a very good second half player. First half leaves a lot to be desired. Have you got anything on this one, Alan?
I'd agree. He definitely deserves to be up there. I was able to watch the highlights of the Dominican Republic USA game for the WBC, and he had that incredible catch out in center field. Was it that game? Yeah.
Yeah, he robbed Aaron Judge of a home run.
Yeah, robbed Aaron Judge of that home run, which he's constantly doing. So no one's doubting his outfield ability. And again, going for 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. He's got that speed that he can really, and he's only 24.
People forget that.
Yeah, he's so young, and he's like feels so mature for his age, which I think is one of the reasons why he deserves to be up there. He's like completely got his head screwed on, completely locked in. He's one of those players that is going to be leading a team for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Our first pitcher in the top 10 is the Boston Red Sox ace, Garrett Crochet. In my opinion, I think he's coming home with the Cy Young this year. So I think him being in the top 10 is well deserved. Great lift of the leg in his pitching action. Absolute joy to watch the way his sliders work. I don't really have any comments on this one other than, top 10, well deserved.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I mean, as much as it pains me to say, being a Yankees fan, he is absolutely smashing it. And Cy Young will be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if who's in contention for that. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be him and Scooble on the American League side. Maybe Brian Wu. We're going to chuck a Mariner in there for fun.
Okay, yeah.
That would be fun just because I think his acceptance speech could literally just be him saying his last name. Woo. In at 7, after a monster season where, in my opinion, Alan will disagree, but he was the American League MVP, it's the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. I guess it's deserved to be in the top 10. Do you think he's going to hit over 50 home runs next year? Because that's kind of where their prediction is.
I don't know. It's hard. What was his past 2 seasons? Because he stepped it up a lot, didn't he, for the home runs? He had 34. I mean, it's nothing to sing. He was sitting 27, 30, 34. So he had that consistency. I don't think he'll go up to 60 again, but I definitely think he'll have a bigger year than he had before. And I mean, I have a hot take on this as well, but maybe we could save it for the catcher's corner, or do we do it now?
Yeah, no, we'll save it for the catcher's corner because
we're going to talk the catcher's corner as well.
Some beefy boys. He is the top ranked catcher, so there is no better catcher in all of baseball according to ESPN than Cal Raleigh, which I think is fair. In at 6, Paul Skeens, National League Cy Young back-to-back winner. The one thing keeping the Pirates afloat, pardon the pun. Yeah, I mean, you look at the stats and it's just like last year, 18-4 record, 2.03 ERA, over 200 innings, 251 strikeouts, 11 home runs allowed in that many innings. Best pitcher in the National League. Is he the best pitcher in MLB, do you think, Alan?
Yeah, I think he is, to be honest. When you see his like the tunneling videos of his pitches, and he has his like fastball and slider and like and off speeds all almost halfway to the batter, and then they start tailing off. So it just seems impossible to hit if he's locked in. So I'm actually think my take is this is I think he's too low on the list. I think he should be up higher, to be honest. Um, I maybe just what I mean, him and Tarek Skubal are close together, but I think probably above Juan Soto in my opinion. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I don't necessarily. It comes to how much value do you put on a position player over a pitcher, which is something I want to touch
Mm,
on in one of the last parts of this. But I mean, one Soto's at 5, just as a spoiler. Um, I I would argue if you're going to put more value on a position player, which I tend to do, I would have personally have one Soto at above both Scooble and Skeens.
oh, really?
Um,
Why
just
would you
because I
do
think
that?
there's much more value in a position player than a pitcher. Because a pitcher, right, they're going to, Paul Skeens, you look at Paul Skeens with the Pirates, right?
Mm,
Pirates end up with a losing record, and he ends up
mm,
with how many wins last year? 18 and 4. He can't do any more by
yeah,
himself
yeah,
because the Pirates hitters can't hit, right?
yeah.
There was one game he played against the Phillies, he tossed a complete game, and the
Mm.
Phillies and the Pirates lost 1-0 because the
Oh,
Pirates
yeah, yeah,
offense just couldn't get anything going.
yeah.
So I think there's much more value on a position player because they can impact more games that you win. That's not to detract from. I think it's harder to be a pitcher. Maybe outside of a catcher, I think pitching's the hardest position to play. Like how much physical exertion you use, how much
Mm,
like pinpoint accuracy, velo, all that intangible stuff. I'm not saying that, but for me, if I'm looking at top 100, if you turn around to me and said you can have Aaron Judge, who I think's the best, excluding Shohei Ohtani, I think Aaron Judge is the best position player in baseball. You can have
yeah.
Aaron Judge, or you can have Paul Skeens, who we're saying is the best pitcher in baseball currently. I would
Yeah.
go Aaron Judge every day of the week.
I would as well, but I wouldn't go Juan Soto over Paul Skeens because I don't deny what you're saying there. And I think that's more of like an entire team thing. Whereas Juan Soto, I'm not going to deny his hitting. His hitting is incredible. His plate discipline is unbelievable. But he just he's not good in the outfield. He isn't. I think he
Yeah,
that side lets him down too much. He has too many errors. Like sometimes he can play it fine, but he's not a good outfielder.
yeah.
So, and I'm not going to argue. I mean, Judge, yeah, he's been incredible. Like that again, that throw, that absolute missile from outfield into um in the Dominican game again to get that guy out in third was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a real tough one between Skeens and Soto. I'm sure if we asked George, he's a Mets fan, he'd go one Soto every day, every
Yeah,
day of
of
the week.
course.
But you wouldn't put your nose up at Paul Skeens. The bit where I think he could be higher though is that they've got Tarek Skubal at 4. So
Mm,
Skubal, back-to-back Cy Young winner, likely to get over $500 million, first pitcher to ever do that in free agency if he stays healthy or
yeah.
doesn't completely shit the bed. I think Skeens is a better pitcher than Scooble. That was kind of my other comment when I'm reviewing the top 10. It's would I rather have Paul Skeens or Tarek Scooble? For me, it's Paul Skeens.
Same. I mean, you can't deny what Tarek School is doing, but the potential because how old is School? He's a bit older,
Scooble's
right?
27, 28. He's not that old, but he's reaching free agency. Skeens is probably a year or two away from arbitration, so he won't be a free agent for another 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, but I just mean in terms of Paul, I feel they're at the same level, but Skeens is that much younger.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
agree.
like he just the potential from him is if just like it feels, I don't know, it feels like he shouldn't be that good, and it feels like it's going to go downhill at some stage. Like he's 23 years old. Jesus Christ, he's
I
23
mean,
years old. Like, and if
he's
it
never really
feels
been
like
injured.
he's never been injured. Yeah, which at some point the Tommy John's going to come into play, but he just. If you're that good at the start, it's where can it go to? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, touchwood, he doesn't get Tommy John because he's an absolute joy to watch, and
Mm,
you don't wish that on anyone, but there's always that risk.
no,
And when he's
yeah,
throwing, I mean, you can already see it. So when he first came to the league, he was throwing. He made his debut against the Cubs, so I've seen him a fair bit,
yeah,
and he was touching like 102, 103 as a starting
Crazy.
pitcher, and he's sort of wound that back now. So now he's like around 98, 99, which is still fast, but just a little bit less pressure on the body.
Yeah, but when you have some of the older pitchers in the game, like some of the Hall of Fame guys who are around for a while, like Mad Max and all those crew, that like they're into their late 30s. So if you have him being this good now and still having a potential 15 years left to pitch, that's going to be beyond. He's going to be incredible.
Yeah. Right, on to the top three. They're all position players. I personally think they've got the ranking correct, but I'd be interested to see what you think. In at 3 is Bobby Witt Jr. for the Kansas City Royals, who I think would have had an MVP at this point in life if it wasn't for Aaron Judge. Elite defender. They've brought the Wolves in at Kauffman Stadium this year. They're saying he might go 40-40. I don't know about that. I don't know how much additional power or additional home runs that will get him. But for me, Bobby Witt at number 3 with the guys that are above him, I think he's a great player. Obviously, fantastic redhead. Do you think he's better than Judge or Ohtani? Or
no, I think he's incredible defensively, which is so essential with the shortstop position. Like you have to have that, or else the rest of it crumbles. And just being that point in the team, in saying that, compared to Judge, like Judge is a great outfielder now as well. He had stumbled for a few years, but he's just very solid out there and can make the big plays, and obviously has the hitting to back it up. Just looking at his Bobby Witt Jr. season last year, I mean, he was on like 23 home runs, which was a little lower down. He was at 32 and 30 before. Batting average at 295, 332 in 2024. I think, like, same with you, not deniable, he is an incredible player, and I think you're absolutely hit the nail on the head. If Aaron Judge didn't exist, he would definitely be one of the faces of baseball and way more out there. But our man Judge is there, so we can't dethrone him.
Yeah, that's true. And but Bobby Witt will hit over 300. Potentially could win the batting title each year, but he won't go from 23 home runs to 40 just because they've moved the Wolves in. There needs to be a little bit more. He might get to 30 again. But speaking of Aaron Judge, he is in at number 2, the right fielder for the New York Yankees. It's only right that you take the lead on this one. Number 2 deserved?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, trying to think of it in Shohei. I mean, like Shohei is unicorn. I think Aaron Judge, I would potentially contest between the two of them, just because of how much he's pulled up his consistency in this season. Like before, it was all about getting the home runs, it was always about getting it in, but he was like, strikeout rate would get up and his whiff rate would get up. And this season, he was like banging singles, banging doubles. He was also getting the home runs and just being that absolute force on the field. Plus, he's like got that leader energy in the same way that Shohei does, but he has that leader energy, which I think is so important. A lot of people overlook is like how you do in the clubhouse, how you interact with your players, how you provide that kind of base for the team. And he is just definition of what it should be. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think he's a better player than Shohei Ohtani, but if you were to rank Ohtani and Judge on just hitting, which I think is Judge's best attribute, I would say Aaron Judge has definitely got more raw power than Shohei Ohtani. And I think, as you said, he's starting to up the average. What did he bat, like 330 last year?
Yeah, it was high. I'll look up the exact numbers now.
I mean, yeah, he's come out and said that he wants to steal more bases. He doesn't need to steal more bases. Just hit a home run. Like, I'd rather if I was a Yankees fan, I'd rather he hit 5 more home runs than stole a single more base, because you don't want him to get injured and stuff like that. But I'd say Judge is a better hitter than Ohtani. The thing that Ohtani has is obviously the pitching side.
Yeah. So he's sitting at 331 for a batting average. He has 457 OBP and 688 slugging. His OPS was 1144, which is just insane. And 124 walks. I think didn't he have something like 50 something intentional walks?
Yeah, he's putting up Barry Bonds
year.
numbers with that.
Yeah, yeah. Just nobody even wants to touch it. But he's on, like home runs. Obviously at 53 last season. 30. He had 30 doubles. Only 2 triples. It's funny. Either goes for, I think it's because he hits such absolute line drive screamers. By the time it hits off the wall, there's no chance of him getting around to third base.
Yeah. Yeah, no, very, very good player. And there's only one player that is probably better than him at the moment, and that is Mr. Shohei Ohtani, DH, starting pitcher, poster boy of the MLB. Not a very good advocate for gambling companies, which is probably not a bad thing in all fairness. I probably shouldn't be making jokes like that. Emily's going to get annoyed, but oh well, she never really notices. Yeah, best player in all of MLB. I'll give him the shit, but he's a fantastic player. Let's not pretend otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, pitching and hitting with that kind of power, yeah. What else can you say? I think nobody was surprised, and yeah, I just be intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do with the full season pitching. Because he didn't start pitching until halfway through last season?
Yeah, but he was kind of using MLB as rehab starts. Like he would pitch, he'd pitch like 1 inning, then he wouldn't pitch for a week, then he'd pitch 2 innings. He was basically doing spring training or a rehab assignment against major leaguers, which was, I mean, I don't know what you can't really. Well, I can't even put it into words how incredible that is, because he was also getting results. But yeah, I mean, I just want to touch on their prediction. So their prediction, I won't go into like the home run, stolen base numbers, but they think he's going to get a 5th MVP and finish 3rd place in Cy Young voting. There are some outlets that think he's going to target the Cy Young because he hasn't had that in his career yet. What can someone have the best of both worlds? Can they get the MVP on the positional side, more work, and then Cy Young? What do you think? Or is he spreading himself too thin?
I don't. Well, does it tie into it? Like, if he pitches well enough in the Cy and to get the Cy Young gets voted on there, is that just going to lead into it? And I'm because his MVP was unanimous last season. So I mean, if he posts anything close to what he had done, plus has an amazing year at pitching, I mean, I think that's doable for him.
Yeah, I think it's more the Cy Young I'm having trouble with. I think he's going to get the MVP if he stays healthy, just because he can perform well enough at pitching. And I mean, he's won it just for hitting when he stole 40 bases just for fun when he didn't pitch. So I think he's got the MVP locked up unless something goes horribly wrong. But the Cy Young, you've got Paul Skeens in the National League. That's where it gets a little bit tougher, in my opinion.
Yeah. I completely agree, especially when because there's going to be a lot of pressure on him as well, being that big hitter, being DH and showing up in that way, that it's going to take some stress onto what his pitching is. So, yeah, I think as well, again, like we're saying with Paul Skeens being in there, if he has anything similar to what he had before, it's going to be very difficult to overtake him.
Yeah, fantastic chat. There's nothing left to say. We've just had a top 10 ranking so beautifully and articulately put by both myself and Alan. It's now time for a new segment. It's called Alan's Catcher's Corner. Alan has gone through there's a fair few catches on this list, and we've got some stuff we want to talk about. And Alan's a catcher himself, so Alan, over to you.
Yeah, I thought I'd give some love to the catchers. They don't get enough love in here. So I had a few small takes. Hot takes that I'd love to get your opinion on. And the first one is we're going to talk about Adley Rutschman. Now, the Orioles catcher, he didn't have the best season last year. He had 2 injuries and went out. But the Orioles obviously didn't have a great season last season, and even the season before. But before that, they had the 101 season. And that was when he was pretty hell. They're hitting on all cylinders with that one. So my hot take for this is the Orioles season is going to be completely down to how well Adley Rutschman plays. I think it's going to be completely tied to him. If he has a good season, they're gonna come in and they're gonna do well again. What do you think?
Are you saying that's your take?
That's my take. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with it. I think if Rutschman plays well, the Orioles will naturally play better. I think who may disagree with that is the Orioles front office. So they went out and extended Samuel Basallo, who's their top catching prospect. It's like an 8-year, very team friendly contract. And in a way, it seems like they don't want to pay Adley Rutschman when he comes to free agency. I think at the end of next season, he's a free agent.
I think it's 2028. I was looking it up. He avoided arbitration this year and got, I think it was a 7.75 mil contract.
Yeah, feels about right for Adley. But I think what you say is a good take, because I think if Rutschman plays well, Basallo's like, he had a little taste of big league action last year. And they're expected to sort of split the catching time, but I think they don't want to pay Rutschman. So the front office are going, we're not going to pay him. Let's just, 50-50 him and Basallo and see what happens. But I think your take is correct. I think if Rutschman has a good year that he can do, the Orioles will be in contention for that AL East a bit more than they would be. I think they've still got a little bit to do on the pitching side, but we'll wait and see. I think it's a good take.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they have lost a few of the players, but they have gained a few that I think will just really add to what it is. And they have some coming up as well from the minor league that if they can get it all to click, it will be an exciting team to watch. Right, next we're going to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays, Alejandro Kirk. And he has been an absolutely amazing player in the last year. He's really kind of broke out and done amazing things. But my hot take is that he gets so much shit for being so slow. But I actually think that that's like an advantage for him, because so many people underestimate what he's going to be like. Now, I know, don't get me wrong, I know he can't do the stealing. He sometimes gets caught out in those plays to first that could be a bit closer, but I think people do underestimate him, so he can kind of catch people out now.
I slightly disagree with that, because I've seen the man hit a single to right field and get thrown out because he's so slow. And he absolutely mashed the ball, but I don't think people underestimate how slow he is. I think they know how slow he is. As far as it comes to like underestimating him as a player, I think this is the last year where I'll probably agree with the take, because I think a lot of people saw last year how good Alejandro is. Yeah. He's an incredible catcher. Obviously, his reach isn't that. He's like, what, 5'6", 5'7"? I don't know how tall he is, but he's quite short. He's a short king. And I think people started to sort of raise their eyebrows, be like, oh no, the guy's a great player. So I think it's a good take, but I think one more year of what he did last year, and then people know what he's about.
Yeah. Fair. Well, that's why we have it as hot takes. We want big hot takes. And the last one we have is Cal Raleigh. And my hot take on this is that, and I may be biased because I am a catcher, but I want to give the catchers the love. My hot take is that I actually think Cal Raleigh should have been higher and possibly even number one on the list, because it is so much harder to do what you do as a catcher, especially being a hitter, that it takes so much from you in every game. Being able to show up on the hitting side just is beyond.
I mean, if I was to give it a percentage, I think I'm 90% there with you. So Cal Raleigh's at 7. As I've said, I rank a position player higher than a pitcher, so I'd have him over Skeens and Skubal. And then looking at the position players in between, I think he's better than I think he was better than Juan Soto last year. I think he was better than Bobby Witt Jr. I think he was the AL MVP. So automatically, that's going to put him above Bobby Witt and Aaron Judge. Do I think he was a better player than Shohei Ohtani? Unfortunately not. So, but I agree with the fact that it's a harder position. It's the hardest position to play day in, day out. That bit I'm not disputing.
Yeah, that's my hot take, is that it's harder being a catcher than being a pitcher, in my opinion. And especially if it's like comparing it then DH or outfield, like there is no comparison, and it takes so much more out of you and what you have to do. So, well, that's why we have it as hot takes, man.
Yeah, I think we're along the right lines. I don't
Yeah.
think any of those takes are outrageous. I think you may have to die on the hill with catcher being the hardest position to people that aren't catchers. But all I would say is I did it for one bullpen training, and I think I caught like 15 pitches. My knees were gone. So how you guys can do it for like 2 hours at a time goes beyond my physical capability.
That's it, man. That's why I want to give the love to the catchers. I remember when I first started first season over here when I played, and I was catching 2 games a day. So I was doing the full 4 to 5 hours of catching, and the love of the game kept me going, man. But yeah, those are my takes. I knew the last one. I knew wasn't going to be as spicy when you said you thought should be MVP, but still had to put it out there.
And that's Alan Catcher's Corner. We might make that a recurring segment. We may look to Alan for just looking at the catchers all year, and he can let us know who's doing well, and you know why if a catcher isn't doing so well, give us a good excuse as to why. Say his knees are tired or whatever. Basically, in Alan's eyes, catchers are the MVPs of every team.
Absolutely, come at me. I don't care what you say. They are.
That's wonderful. So we're coming to the end of our review of the top 100. I've got one last segment, and I've just called this potpourri, which apparently means just miscellaneous items you might get at the end of a gift bag. So when I was looking down the rankings, there were a couple of things that stood out to me as like, oh, that looks a bit weird, or that's a bit outrageous. And similar to your catcher's corner, I just want you to give me, like maybe a sentence or two on reaction for the ones I'm going to give you. So the first one, Ellie De La Cruz was higher ranked than Trey Turner. So Ellie De La Cruz, according to this list, I think he was at 24. So Ellie De La Cruz is a top 25 player in all of baseball. That shocked me. What do you think?
That shocked me as well, because he was I think he was the lowest ranked shortstop in terms of defense.
Yeah, he had a few errors.
Pretty sure. Maybe he had the most errors or whatever it was. Yeah, I mean, he shocked as well. I'm right there on the page with you. He has, and the thing is as well, it kind of gets me about when people talk about him. They always talk about his potential. They're like, oh, he has the potential to this. He has the potential, but he's not really showing up. So I don't know why he's that high up.
How long do you give potential? Like, he's been in the league now 2 full seasons, I think, at this point, or a season and a half.
Yeah.
When does potential become like, oh, he's going to be like, he's a solid player. I'm not saying he's not big league worthy, but at what point does potential go, oh, all right, maybe we'll move on to the next big thing?
I don't know. It's the problem is you have the teams investing in them as well, because they've been like, we believe in this player. This is going to be our shortstop. We've got to go with them. So I understand why they're doing it, but yeah, it gets to some point when it's like, this is the big leagues. This is the game that you have to be good at, and you have to show up every day. And if you're not doing that, that's it. I don't know when that would be. I don't know, but I mean, it has to be soon. If he doesn't show up after next season, they have to start talking in the front office.
Yeah, maybe they wouldn't get rid of him, but they might say, like, the hype's there. Maybe they move him to the outfield like O'Neal Cruz. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely.
This next one I thought was just outrageous. So Bryce Harper's on the top 100 list because of course he is. I'm not arguing that element of it. I am going to argue part of the hot take. Sorry, I just muted myself there. Part of the hot take they gave was Bryce Harper's going to hit 39 home runs this coming year, which I just laughed at.
What? So what did he have last? So he had 32, 49 the year before, 29, 28, 42. 39 does seem like a stretch. I think he's like maybe pushing it if he has an outstanding year. Probably 35 would be my guess. But I think sitting close to 30 is more like it. Where did you have him sitting? What do you think?
I'm thinking 25, 30 in that range.
Oh,
I just
really?
think he may not be healthy. I think he's a bit overrated.
Why? What healthy, or what health issues do you think he has?
Attitude problems mainly.
Okay.
I don't think that cost you 10 home runs. I just think he's getting on a bit, and like he's had the arm issues. That's why he's now first baseman. He used to be an outfielder. I just think he's got his head elsewhere. Like he came out and said that he prefers the Olympics to the World Baseball Classic, which is fair, but like he phrased it in such a way of like, oh, I don't even give a shit that I'm here. And I think he's so focused on stuff outside of baseball, and he didn't have a good year last year. The Phillies owner came out and said that, and basically Harper took the bait and wore a T-shirt that just said, "Yeah, I wasn't outstanding," or he quoted whatever the owner said in the interview. But I guess what I'm saying is I don't see Bryce Harper hitting 39 home runs next year.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong one as well. The home runs were 27, 30, 21, 18.
Yeah, he's not getting 39.
Well off. He's not getting 39. Yeah, I'd say good year, maybe pushed up over 30, but probably sitting around 25.
Yeah, maybe even lower than that. I've got two more. Next one is how much value do you place on relief pitching? So Mason Miller, who is, in my opinion, the best relief pitcher in all of baseball, the ranking agrees, but they have him ranked down at number 60. Just a couple of players that are ranked above Mason Miller. They've got Rafi Devers, Zach Neto, Cody Bellinger, Riley Green, and Jackson Churio. I can't sit here and say that all five of those players had a better year last year than Mason Miller, and all five of them will have a better year than Mason Miller in 2026. So I guess the question is, are relief pitchers, should they be ranked that low? Because they give starting pitchers love. They've got 3 in the top 10. In my argument, Mason Miller should be top 30 if you're a relief pitcher.
That's the thing then. So we're talking about how much value do you put on. Do you think it's harder to start a game and play the 5 innings at least, or do you think it's harder potentially coming in with like a 2-run deficit and having to hold on and keep it there, or even like with a 1-run lead or something? Which do you think is more pressure?
I think it's a lot more pressure as the relief pitcher. If you're if you're like that guy, if you're the closer, Mason Miller, you've got a 1 inning lead going into the bottom of the 9th, and you're the guy that's got to stop him scoring. Way much more pressure, and you've got to do that 2 or 3 times a week, as opposed to the starting pitcher who's going to go once every 5-6 days.
Yeah,
I think it's more of a mental game.
I don't know. I get the side of it. I just think the thing that pushes me, I would say it's more important to get the lead at the start. I think it's like having the innings amount, even though you have the pressure, the mental pressure of like, right, I have to perform at this one. I think having to perform over the 5 to 6 innings, say, is more value than coming in for 1. I think if we're talking, that's for relief pitching. If we're talking about closers, then as well, if like you're the end, you're the stop, then I think I definitely would push him up further. But again, I don't know if which one I would have, whether it would be relief or starting pitching, as like more valuable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where I'd put him. I think there are people that are overranked on here. The last one, I mean, Mookie Betts at 25. He had a crap year last year.
He really did.
Like Kyle Tucker's in the top 20. He was terrible. I can tell you that one for free. So I think having the best relief pitcher in baseball, and he is a closer, all the way down at number 60, I think that's a bit of a piss take personally. My last one involves Kyle Tucker. So Kyle Tucker did not have a good year last year for the Cubs because he was injured. But I always think whenever he's playing, he doesn't give a shit about baseball. I may be completely wrong. I think many people have told me I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just bitter. But Kyle Tucker is ranked over both Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Christopher Sanchez. Now, we all saw what Yamamoto did in the World Series. He basically put the Dodgers on his back and pitched them to that World Series ring. And Christopher Sanchez was second in National League Cy Young voting, second in WAR, just behind Aaron Judge. So I think Kyle Tucker being over those 2 pitchers is a piss take, personally.
Where is he on the? What number is he?
Like 15. Where is he? Yamamoto's at 17. Sanchez is at 19.
Yeah,
Kyle Tucker is 15.
So what are they saying? That's the fact they're saying the fact he only swings at strikes.
He rolls over to second base so much. That little gap between second and first base on the infield.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, man. Especially over Yamamoto. He did so much more for the team, and he was like getting that World Series MVP and earning it coming back in for that last game. Just he's only going to do the same again this season. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add to that because I just agree with you. He's I wonder what the ranking was. I'd love to know what the people were thinking when they were doing this.
ESPN beat writers, if you can hear it, if you're listening to this, come on our
Yeah.
podcast, know what you were thinking, because
Tell
I
us,
think
we're
they've got
challenging you.
a lot of it largely correct. I just think there's a few like Kyle Tucker glazing because he's now on the Dodgers, for example.
And yeah, how much does that affect like the view of the player? Is it because he was with the Dodgers and they went to the World Series? They're like, oh, he's part of that. He was part of that, so it must have affected it, like taking off some of the other player. Obviously, you can't compare it to Yamamoto, but just some of the other players you talk about on different teams.
Yeah, he didn't do much last year. I'm not bitter. We're coming right to the end. Just a couple of players that were missed off the top 100 list that I thought should have been on there. First one's a bit of a fun one. Trevor Rogers, sub 2 ERA. He's an Orioles starter. Had a 5.5 WAR in like half a season of pitching. No one thinks he's going to replicate that. I just think the stats alone were like this was like the highest WAR player that they didn't include on the top 100. And then the real ones, because they got Nolan McLean is number 100, who is the New York Mets starting pitcher. Everyone's raving about him, think he's going to get Rookie of the Year. Probably will. But on the American League side, there were two pitchers in the AL East last year who I thought were incredible from what I saw. And that being Trey Savage for the Toronto Blue Jays and Cam Schlittler for the New York Yankees. And neither of those guys are on the top 100. What have you got to say for that?
Yeah, I'm sure being a Yankees fan and seeing how he showed up, especially in that wild card game, just should have earned him the right to be on that. I mean, he was at a 2.96 ERA. He had started 14 games, had a win-loss of 4-3. So it's not crazy, but kept that ERA down. He just, I mean, 13 strikeouts in that game, being able to show up as a rookie to a game where we had lost the first game and no one else since the wild card has started had come back after losing that first game. So come back to win the series after losing the first game. So having that pressure on him and being able to show up, he definitely should have been in.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm going to end on it. And obviously, Trey Savage was incredible throughout the whole playoff run for the Blue Jays, and they're both in line, I believe, for the American League Rookie of the Year this year because they didn't have enough service time, I believe. So the American League Rookie of the Year race could be a fun one.
Oh, nice, exciting! Some more pitch. It's been probably pitcher heavy for the past few years, so it'll be interesting to see if it stays with that.
Yeah, I don't see it going any other way, to be honest with you. Maybe JJ Weatherholt for the Cardinals, but we're getting into prospects that it's the Cardinals, so I don't really care about him. That's going to bring us to the end of our ESPN Top 100 MLB Players review. Any closing comments, Alan?
Get me back to the baseball field. We have open day very close. We're going to be starting playing some baseball over here. I cannot wait. Yeah, that's all I got. Excited to play.
Yeah, I think I'm returning to spring training or winter training. I don't know what you call it at this point. My first session will be this weekend, so I'm very excited.
Amazing. Get out there, get that arm warmed up.
Yeah, and get ready to play some mediocre second base and a bit of the outfield. Alan, thank you so much for joining me. All that's left to say is Alan's been Alan, unsurprisingly. Gaz has been Gaz. I'm Gaz. You've been incredible for watching and listening. Read the article. Let us know what you think. We'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you and goodbye.